Have you ever wanted a case so tough it gives you a black eye every time you turn it on? Well, then get yourself an Evetech RIX. Good after morning and welcome to Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, my name is Reese from KFC or Wookie XXL. And in this review, I'm obviously having a look at the Evetech RIX. It's built like the proverbial brick beep house, okay? Starting off with the package contents, you do get quite a nice little kit from Evetech. You get ample amounts of screws and fastenings and some extra cable ties and some other goodly things. You also get a controller for your fan kit, so if you don't have addressable RGB, then you can control it from there, and you have to control the speed of the fan kit itself from that controller as well. Two little things that they threw in there that I really liked was the badge that actually sits right here on the bottom in the front. That's actually loose inside the package, so you can stick it wherever you want. I just thought it looked really nice up front with that Evetech logo, at least trying to get it matched and aligned with the fans in the center there as much as I possibly could. And then there's a standoff adapter. Now this one is actually a little bit better than the other ones I've ever gotten because it's actually like a thumb screw, as well as it has a screw point on the back of it. Most of them are just the adapter itself, and then you have to use it with a screwdriver. Now if you don't have a very good strong magnetic screwdriver, it can become a little bit finicky to do, but having it all in a thumb screw means that you can start it with that and then finish with a screwdriver. And honestly, on about 7 of the 9 fastenings for the full ATX motherboard, I literally just used that to fasten it pretty tightly. I went around it, but there was only 2 that I couldn't actually get very tight. That being said, I do have the grip strength of a lowland mountain gorilla. Speaking of the case layout itself though, Evetech's done a phenomenally good job in a number of areas. The look and feel of the case is absolutely fantastic, and as I've alluded, it's built pretty damn tough. The panels all fold over each other, and 90% of it's aluminium. It weighs considerable amounts, with the other sort of 10%, okay, let's say 70-30, with the other 30% of it being made from glass. So it is a hefty boy. The standard fan controller setup is 2 120s up front with 4 coming out the back. I'm not the biggest fan of having more out than in, to be very honest with you, so I do think it could be optimized slightly by putting one of those in the front. You won't be able to see it because it'll be below the shroud point over here, but there is space for full 360 mils worth of fans, or at least 3 120s and 3 120s, and then another 120 at the back. So airflow considerations of the case are pretty damn good, and it was one of the concerns I saw about the case on some of the comments on the launch, was that with the full front panel it's not going to have much airflow. Well, to combat that, there is a huge port on the top over here, and then another identical one at the bottom to assist with making sure that there is enough intake. The remainder of the layout is pretty standard. There is a full shroud for the PSU. I actually would have liked a little window over here maybe, just to, you know, show off the power supply you may have if you, like myself, and you've got a 1000-watt 80+ gold Cooler Master big boy. It might be nice to show that off, perhaps a little bit nitpicky. I know I can feel how you're looking at me right now, Uncle Evetech. Please don't take my head off for, you know, making that suggestion. I love you. The drive layout is also pretty standard. There's 2 3.5-inch removable racks at the bottom, which are really nice in the facet that they're quite standard nowadays in this sort of setup. Screwless design as well to mount and unmount them, which is really nice. And then the 2.5-inch spaces, the 2.5s on the back end over here by the motherboard. Now, there's this whole wall here in front of the cooling area at the front, or in front of the fan ports, and quite a lot of space. So I was thinking maybe add another 2 on the back over there, just as an idea. The cutouts though for the fan, or for the cables at least, and the fan cables, etc., are really nicely done. Everything was where I would like to have run through. The side ones though, maybe throwing some garrets on those. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't look untidy as it stands though, so once again, maybe me just nitpicking. Now, if you've noticed, there is quite a lot of room in the front of this case. This thing lends itself to a push-pull radiator design for, I would say, a 240. The 360, just based on the clearance that's sitting there at the front, you're not going to get a full push-pull with a 360 on this, but a 240 up front with a full push-pull is very, very realistic. It's more than realistic. This is a 5600 XT Asus Tough Edition. It's not the shortest card ever. It's probably a 280mm. I'll check the exact size for you and put that on screen. But it's not a short boy. And there is a chasm. I mean, like literally the Grand Canyon worth of space in front of that. Regarding the remainder of its clearances, the only one that was a little bit tight is actually the breadth of the case itself. The Hyper 212 is not the tallest tower cooler you can buy. It is on the sort of higher average end, but it's not like a Noctua that or a Be Quiet that's like, well, this kind of large, and it just fit. There's probably about 2mm worth of clearance between that and the glass. At this point though, I just have to reiterate how pretty this case is. The LED beam through the bottom is just such a nice touch. The dual ringlet and then fan lit LEDs are fantastic. Just the homie at the factory that's putting the stickers on, please put them on straight for all of us, bro, please. And lastly, regarding the physical setup of the case, on the top end here, you have the power button, then you have a power LED and an HD LED, which I thought was very cute for them to include a power LED with all of this going on. I think you'll know if your case is on or not with this amount of RGB. There's two jacks for the mic and for the headset up front, and then two USB 3s, which is quite nice. Then the reset switch is actually connected to the controller. So at the moment, for instance, it's hooked up with the motherboard, as you can see, and it's scrolling through the default RGB, well, the maximum RGB setting that I could put in the Dragon Center. But with the press of a button, I can actually change it onto a different mode. And there are a plethora of modes. I mean, I could probably do a 3-4 minute video just on how many lighting profiles there are built into this controller. So it is a nice to have there. If you do lose your remote control, at least you can control the RGB from over there on the case, but the fans themselves have to be controlled from the remote. They can, however, be switched off entirely, which is a first. I've not actually had one of these included kits that can actually turn them off. So if you are just watching a movie or something to that effect, or watching some YouTube related night, and you want absolute silence, you can literally turn the fan kits off, in which case you basically hear nothing because of, like, this thing is thicker than a Snicker, okay? Last thing just to note about this is that it is like stilted up, so it is standing up, so there is plenty of room for air to clear in right through underneath the case. So even the air that's going into the PSU has a really nice channel into it. So moving on to performance and the test setup. So in here is a 9600KF, which is clocked at 4.6 GHz all core. And then I do have the 5600 XT Tough Edition, which I've done no overclocking on because 5600 XT since the BIOS update basically don't overclock anyway. 3200 megahertz memory, CL16 dual channel kit of the good clear variety. Very good stuff, this clear stuff. It's actually superb. It's actually better than my Corsair kit, to be very honest with you. And then I do have a very generously sized 2 TB NVMe from old Hikvision. All of this is being powered then by the 850 watt high current gamer from Evetech. So what I did was I kept the build on the test bench on the open air to see how the components perform without any interference, and then put them into the case to look for any differences. And what I found was that basically there were almost none. What's especially impressive though is I left the IDA 64 with it in the case much longer than I had on the test bench, and the averages were pretty much the same, if not better, with the case. And once again, this is without sort of an optimized airflow system. If you were to put the other 360 in the bottom and have that as an intake, take one off the top and remove it, I mean the cables and everything that go to the fan kit are more than long enough to do so, then you'll actually probably get even better performance. I just wanted to test it in the default layout so you can see what you're getting out of box. But with the IDA 64 and with the Firestrike stability test, the scores were literally almost identical. I did do some gaming as well. Mate brought over a monitor to test, so we had a good run through CS and Metro and a couple other things. and the machine never skipped a beat. And it doesn't have, this is as loud as it gets. And to finish off that thought, I'm going to actually jump over quickly and show you the airflow of the machine itself, and then the decibel meter, so you can see how loud the machine is. In conclusion then, I think Evetech's actually knocked it out of the park with this. It's a really, really good base platform. The case is built like absolute stink. The best value of the system is the case itself, which is exactly how it should be. Fan kits and all of that sort of stuff will be replaced over time. You know, it's a moving part, it's got a bearing, dust can get into it. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen to decay your fans and kill them ultimately at the end of the day. But this metal and the way it's painted and everything, good luck. This thing is so hard. If it fell off a 2-story building, it would dent the ground. The glass would probably break. I mean, all things considered. But yeah, it would bounce. I'm pretty damn sure, because it's hard. It's so hard. If you look up granite in the dictionary, RIX is listed there as a case example. Anyway, that is all I have for you in this review. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.